the frustrations of a communications professional. My wife intervened and better sense prevailed. And now the title is what it is. But why do I say that? You see this? Just a watch. Not for me though. You see, I need to dissect everything. The design, the brand, the name. Yes, the name. It's an HMT after all. You see, HMT named their watches after everyday things. It even named some watches around people's names. And that's what made it very fascinating. Stick around. This video is not about your usual history lesson about HMTs. I'm going to talk about why is it and what is it that made HMT tick. Welcome back to Kalaai Chronicles. I'm Srinivas, and we'll see if HMT named a watch after you. Picture this, right? It's the 1960s. India is a young nation, fresh out of colonial rule. There's an air of possibilities. India as a nation is dreaming of big things. Now everybody wants a piece of this dream. Everybody wants a symbol of progress. But, here's the thing. Watches back then were very expensive. Most of them were imported, which put them out of league of the average Indian, right? I mean, these were all imported watches. They spoke a very different language, literally and figuratively. And this is where HMT comes in. Hindustan Machine Tools. Now, originally a company that manufacturing tools, machine tools. But then they took a leap of faith and said, let's make watches for India. For those of you who don't know, this was a collaboration with Citizen Watches of Japan. But that's a story for another day. Let's stick to what made HMT watches tick. HMT had their factory in Bangalore, and one thing that they did, which was very unique back in the day, was they used to load up a van with a projector and also carry all the latest models of watches and go around nearby districts. And they used to show films to people, the latest blockbusters. And during the interval and after the film got over is when they used to sell their latest watches. Talk about captive audience. Might not sound very innovative now, but imagine these were the 60s and 70s. And it just didn't stop there, For HMT, marketing was much deeper. They didn't want to just push the product, right? They wanted to connect with the people. They wanted a deeper bond with people. And that's where these names came from. Think about this. I mean, you walk into a store and you see a watch named after your best friend, Rajat, Asha. Or you see a watch that's inspired by the kind of music you like, Sangeet, Surya, Rag, etc. And you immediately connect with it. It's not just a watch anymore. It's something deeper. It tells you a story about you, about your friend, about your country, about your heritage, about a passion. And you immediately connect with it. You say, hey, that's something that I want. And the story goes a lot deeper, right? I mean, you have some fascinating stories around some of the most popular watches. Take the Janata, for example, which means the people. Now, it is said that the Janata was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's favorite watch. The first batch of watches that HMT made were called Citizen, right? So Mr. Nehru said, why not call it Janata and make this a watch for every Indian? And that's how the Janata came to be. And then there was the Pilot and the Jawan series, which were quite aspirational back in the day. I mean, for everybody who had a dream to soar the skies, they thought of the Pilot. And also the association with the Indian Armed Forces made it that much more appealing. Then, at the other end of the spectrum, you had the Sonas and the Kanchans of the world. Very aspirational. I mean, India and its love story with gold is something that is well known. So, when HMT came out with an aspirational watch called Sona, and then the Kanchan, I don't need to say anything more about it. But I remember a couple of anecdotes that I want to mention here. One is something that I want to leave a link down in the description. Do watch that video after you're done with this video. The thing is, there is this beautiful tale about how one man convinced his would-be in-laws with the help of an HMT watch. I mean, imagine HMT playing Cupid in the most unexpected ways. It's a fabulous story. Do check it out later. And the second one is something that happened with me recently. A friend of mine reached out through the channel and said, hey, would you be able to get me an HMT Gaurav and an HMT Jawan? I asked why these models. He said, my name is Gaurav. I would want to own a watch that's named after me. And Jawan, because he was a huge Shah Rukh Khan fan and he wanted an HMT Jawan. Talk about connections, right? That's what is beautiful about these watches. They spoke to you. It was your story, your country's story, a story about your heritage. I don't see a lot many brands do this nowadays. Let me know if you know of any brand that connects with you at such a deep level. So the next time you come across an HMT, don't just look at it as a watch. Think about it as a brand that dared to take on the big Goliaths back then. Now see, the most easy thing that HMT could have done is to slap a foreign sounding name and called it a day. It would have still sold in millions. But they went the other route. They chose to make it personal. They chose to make it about India. All these brands, see, HMT made watches for different aspirations, different peoples, different dreams, but under the single umbrella of Indian craftsmanship. That's what made the brand beautiful. So let's do something. There's a comment section below this. Why don't you come to me and tell me your favorite HMT memories? Is there a watch named after you? Do you own a watch that's named after you? Or do you have a Sona or a Kanchan for that special occasion? Or did you buy a Pilot thanks to your dreams? Let me know. And let's get this conversation ticking. And till we meet again in the next video, keep watching, keep ticking.